Okay.
Um, yeah.
Before I go to I want to take one step back and talk about M&A really quick before we move on.
Okay.
And this is sort of a personal question. Since this year, and I never really considered it until a few moments ago, until you mentioned it. I've never considered myself in the M&A area whatsoever, but I've had different VCs reach out to me looking for some matchmaking, looking for startups. So over the last few months, I've been taking meetings and meetings and meetings for these VC that I'm working with and connecting them with some Korean startups and Korean companies. So I was wondering, um, how are you getting, different VCs or different companies who are looking to acquire other companies here in Korea? How are they reaching out to you, contacting you, and just sort of the current market situation? What are some of the things that you see those VCs that are looking for? In my case, I sit in on every interview with any company that I do any matchmaking for. And I was wondering if you have a similar process for those sort of deals.
Yes, and it's not for the faint at heart because as you were talking, I'm sure this is what you're alluding to too, is it's not like a search assignment or consulting assignment where the roles, responsibilities, what's expected, and the timing is pretty routine or pretty fairly consistent. Uh, in this M&A world, it's not like that. There's a lot of almost, I guess I could say that. I think wasted time.
Hmm.
All right. And it's a much longer process. It's still relationship driven, but it's also timing is even more important than ever. And I think that, and I think that still takes some timing to figure that out. Like, where is the money coming from? Where do they want to invest it? And then where's the right target? And just like in search, the organizations that want money are kind of like the candidates that want the job. There's usually more of those than there are the folks there with the pocketbooks with the money, right?
Correct.
So uh, it's a tough area. You know, I think that it's a very tough area to get into. And one of the challenges is a lot of people that are in it they do multiple things. You know what I mean? Or have a variety of services or things to offer uh, because of the long process and because of the difficulties of it. It's not easy. If I make it
Yes.
sound easy, don't take that away. It is not easy.
Mhm. A lot of meetings, and I guess you could say wasted time because I have so many different startups and companies contacting me now, but I have a limited number of VCs, that I'm working with, and they all have their different target markets and areas and the type of companies that they're willing to invest in. So I feel like I've been focused on creating a system to sort of keep the meetings going and also keep the fresh, companies coming in as well as actual VCs with actual money and people who aren't just sort of checking out the market, people who are actually looking to and ready to invest or, acquire a company.
Yes, and I think also one of the challenges is if you start going down a path and you start doing something, and I'll give one example without revealing too much. There was that I can't. There was something I've been working on, and it's data centers. You know, the huge data centers because of computing these days are growing all over the place. And we identified a source that we're building that wanted funds, and we have some organizations that have the funds, and it's a seriously big deal actually, a pretty big deal. I mean, they call it medium market. It's like $100 million deal. All right, but getting into the deal, as you started getting into it, one of the things I realized they didn't have is they were not using renewable energy sources. And in the data centers, they have to have an energy source and then a couple of backups, right? And this organization was only using the grid and what was available right now and things. So that made it less attractive to the investor. But everything else, the location, the investment, the potential customers they had already under LOIs, um, and all this is all lined up. But then again, that one key point is enough to make the investors walk.
Okay.
So sometimes you get so even far down that rabbit hole, then all of a sudden something you find out, or all of a sudden one of the most common things is the size of the deal. Oftentimes, some deals they say, well, it's too small or it's too big. So it's like buying putting on some clothing or shoes. It's the same concept. It has to fit their need, and whatever their strategy are. So yeah, it's complicated. It's not simple.
Right. I have a real estate background, so I can understand that during the due diligence process, there's so many different factors that buyer is gonna, so many reasons why they might back out of the deal, even if it's last minute, if they
Yeah.
find out something about, the company as well, whether, whatever the issues might be with the finances.
Wow.
Yeah, so difficult area, takes a lot of work. Like you said, not for the faint-hearted. You have to really you have to have the energy, I feel like, to deal in that area.